Hello there. We are continuing analyzing viewer games. You might have known that if you are a Patreon supporter, then you are entitled to have your games analyzed by me on this channel. And depending on the plan you select, it can be either one game a month or one game a week or so on. This Patreon supporter viewer sent me a game. He played as Black, and now I will just go through the game and give my best to try to enlighten what's going on in the game and what do I think should or could be improved in the game. So when I analyze this game, I will not be focused on tactical resources so much because if you want to see which tactical resources you have missed, then it's very easy to just turn on the engine and analyze it. With the engine, it will show you all your blunders and all your missed tactical opportunities. But rather, I would like to focus on the more positional aspects of chess and maybe to correct some wrong way of thinking about the position and maybe share some of my understandings of the position. So this analysis is basically focused on positional understanding, not so much on tactical. Okay, so I analyzed this game from the white perspective because the user who submitted the game played as white. So he opened d4. It's a good way to open. I prefer myself, as you know, e4 because it's more classical chess and maybe a little more tactical chess, but d4 is perfectly fine, especially if you follow the classical way of opening. So after d4, play c4, and it's perfectly okay. d5, so standard response. c4 by white, so far so good. c6, so this is a Slav setup or semi-Slav, it depends if he'll play e6 later. So there are basically two ways to deal with this threat, to replace to exchange side pawn with center pawn. One is just most classical is Queen's Goblet decline, so just e6. Another one is c6, and those are the most common, and there are also some exotic stuff like Chigorin defense, knight to c6, or Albin counter gambit e5, or so on. But I think c6 or e6 is something mostly based on common sense, logic, and you can just normally play these positions, and you don't have to know many variations. You just follow basic opening principles. Knight c3, developing the knight, it's fine. Knight f6 here, so far developing. Bishop to f4. Okay, so this is the first move which I would object, because why would you like to commit your bishop to f4 in this position? First of all, it violates several principles. So one of the principles says that you should look to castle as soon as possible. So in that case, you should be thinking about how to develop your kingside pieces. Okay, you have already developed one queenside piece. By the way, in this position, I would maybe slightly prefer knight f3 for the same reason, because you want to castle. So first you think about kingside pieces, but okay, knight c3 is okay. But at this position, well, you should be thinking about first of all castling, and second of all making the least committal moves. So these are just some basic principles which you would like to apply in your games. So by playing bishop f4, the question is why f4? This bishop, given in the different courses of the game, can be developed on several different places. So it could come, for example, on d2, maybe e3 in some scenarios, f4 of course, and g5. This is the most active square for bishop, or maybe even after b3 in some scenarios you can fianchetto the bishop and put it on this nice diagonal on b2. So you can see that this bishop has many prospects. It can be developed on b2, on d2, e3, f4, g5. So there are five options for this bishop, and then you don't want to just put it on f4 before anything happened in the game. So it's a committal move, and you don't know, the game is too young. You don't know how it will develop and what would be the best place for this bishop. So I would advise here either to develop the knight on f3, because this knight doesn't have almost any other good squares than f3. So if this knight would go to f3 anyway, then you should put it on f3. Or even better is e3. So this is the best move in the position, is e3, because you are helping to develop this bishop, kingside bishop, and you are also protecting this pawn, because you can see that this pawn is unprotected now. And if the game continues without this pawn being protected, you can just grab the pawn and play b5 and be a pawn up. So this is why I think e3 would be the most principled move, but even knight f3 would be better than just commit the bishop on one square, and it can end up on any of these squares. So I think this is the most important maybe lesson in this game. You will see it's not a long game, but just to think about least committal moves and consistent principle of openings. So you want to get your pieces out and castle. Knight b to d7. So black is developing from his side. He's now locking this bishop up. So maybe this is not the best move, but okay, I will not focus on black's play. Knight to f3 now. It's okay move, like I said, it makes sense, but it makes sense from the, let's say, positional perspective and general principles. So you want to get your piece out on the least committing square, but there can be tactical problems with this move, because like I said, after knight f3, he can just take the pawn and then maybe defend the pawn, because now he has some pieces developed, and he can bring the bishop on b7 after b5. So you should think tactically. Is this, if you don't play here, so still here e3 is the best move, but if you don't play e3 or you play something else, can you lose this pawn? This should be calculated and evaluated tactically. So, but in any case, you have to play e3 at some point and get your bishop out. So I will play e3 here, but okay. So knight f3, d takes c4. Okay, and now very interesting move for white is e4. Okay, so the question is, why not? If he's giving you the center, so after he played d takes c4, he's giving you the center, so well, why not take it just with e4? So okay, I don't have anything against this move, but it's still you still need to be cautious, because it's nice to have center pawns, but you have to think if these pawns can somehow become a target. So when you are putting your pawns in the center, you have to think forward about pawn breaks. So what are these pawns for here? So you can think about pawn break d5, or grabbing some space with e5 maybe, or you can see if these pawns will allow your pieces some nice outposts, maybe knight to e5 here or something. So it is a okay move. So you grab the center, but you have to consider if there are any concrete plans behind this, because you don't want to create weaknesses. For example, if d5 would not be possible, then this can become weakness, especially because you are not still developed. So you need at least 3 moves to protect this pawn with a minor piece. You're now protecting this only with the knight, and it's already protected once. So this d4 can be very vulnerable here, and you should just think about this stuff because before you play this move. But it's okay move, I think. E6 now, okay, and well, black now just allows you to capture the pawn. I think black should try here to hold on to the pawn, because his position is worse anyway. You have to center pawns, and if he plays b5 here, then at least he can hope to get some material advantage. But he plays e6, and white correctly picks up the pawn, so bishop takes c4. Now b5, you have to retreat your bishop. d3 is a good square, especially given the fact, like I said, that this e4 pawn can become a weakness very soon, so it's good to have this overprotected. b4 now. Okay, and this is a kind of critical position, so your knight is attacked, so you have to think if you want to somehow move your knight, or you can do some kind of counter attack with e5. And in this particular position, white chose to play e5 and to counter attack move. So general advice: if your piece is attacked with a pawn like here, and the most natural response is just to move your piece away. So if the piece is attacked by the pawn, move the piece away. The other more complicated response is to counterattack his piece, and this should be very well calculated and not be done lightly. So I don't like this move e5 here for several reasons. Well, first of all, you can see that let's look at the black's pawn structure. So the b pawn is far advanced, and there is no pawn, no d pawn. So this means that this square, c5, is a perfect outpost for the knight, because if you manage to plant the knight here, it cannot be chased away with the pawn, and if he decides to exchange this knight, then you have a very advanced pawn, and also he has a permanent weakness on b4. So because you will disconnect these two pawns. So I would think, I'm not talking about particular move orders, but I would think about something like this. So move your knight to a4, and then remaneuver your other knight, for example, to b3, and then put your knight to c5 and support it with another knight. And this would be, I think, positionally very strong, because you will have far away advanced knight, and it will be backed up with another knight. So if he captures, you can recapture with the knight, and then at the end maybe he has to give up his bishop pair, and you get this nice pawn, and you have disconnected his pawns. So in this position I would think about some kind of maneuvering. Why? Because he doesn't have much counterplay, and he still didn't finish his development. So he has to develop his bishop, he has to develop his other bishop, he has to castle. He doesn't have much prospects with his knight, so maybe h3 at some point. So you can see that you are not in a hurry. You have a superior position, you have good central control, you have space. So maybe your mindset here in this kind of position should be maneuvering. So let's just remaneuver these pieces to some nice squares. So maybe this is the correct way of thinking, maybe not. Okay, e5 here, and so what would happen if he takes the pawn? Let's just play this variation. So if he takes the pawn, he didn't take the pawn, he played the knight to h5 here, but the first thing you have to calculate is what if he takes the pawn. So b takes c3, e takes f6, you have to take the piece, c takes b2 with the tempo attacking the rook, you have to play rook b1. So these moves are all forced, they're very easy to calculate. Now he has to capture this pawn, he'll probably not capture with the pawn, and neither with the queen, because then you can have some tempo on the queen. So he would play knight takes f6, and you can take the pawn. And now you can calculate this. It's just three and a half moves, so it's easy to calculate because all moves are forced. And now you have, when you calculate the position, you have to evaluate the resulting position in your head. And this is a difficult thing to do, especially if you are having trouble with visualization and board vision, and most likely you do, given your rating, and I do too. It's not an easy thing for an adult improver to be able to visualize the position. But let's say that that you manage to visualize this position. Who is better here? So let's first look the material. If you count the pawns, black is a pawn up. So first of all, this is not a good sign, being a pawn down as white. And second of all, black's pieces suddenly came to life. So you can see that he has now free diagonals for his bishop. For example, he can play something like a5 and maybe even bishop to a6, or just fianchetto the bishop. This bishop is now very free. He has these pieces. Before these exchanges, his pieces were cramped, and now they are not. So this knight has a very nice outpost here. It can attack the bishop. It can either go here to g4. So he controls the semi-open file, attacking the isolated pawn, which is weak, and so on. So in this position, I would definitely say that black is better, and white is worse, and the white is a pawn down. So this is something you should calculate before playing e5 here. So you can calculate these moves. It's not very difficult to calculate what would happen. So all moves are forced, and in general you don't want to exchange. So if you are playing e5 here, you are offering to exchange pieces. So you're offering to exchange this knight for this knight, and this is also the rule of thumb in chess. If you have a space advantage, then you don't want to trade, because if you have the space, then you have a capacity to hold more pieces. So your pieces are not cramped. Your pieces have more space, and they have more prospects to play. And with your opponent, it's another way around. So he has very little space, and his pieces stumble one upon another. So you can see that, for example, this knight, well, this knight is blocking the other knight. Also, this knight is blocking this bishop. This knight is blocking this queen. So you can see that when you have less space, like black in this position, then you want to exchange pieces to free yourself up. So if black would, for example, be able to remove this knight, which happens in this variation, then many of his problems are solved. He has queen activated, this knight has more prospects, and so on. So this is another argument against e5. So not just concrete variation, but the general question: do you want to trade pieces in this position if you are white? And the answer is no. Okay, but he played e5 nevertheless. And now this is interesting from black. So black should immediately capture this knight. First of all, he will end up being a pawn up and a better position. Second of all, he should welcome exchanges. So if he can exchange this knight for this knight, and then put the knight on d7 here on f6, he will do great. So black should accept this exchange only on positional grounds. And if he calculates the variation and looks 3 moves ahead or 4 moves ahead, then he can see that he will be materially and positionally better. Okay. Now white moves his knight away on e2. Again, I have to criticize this move because, well, why e2? I don't see how this... Okay, I see now. His bishop is attacked, so he has to play e2 to protect the bishop. But this is a passive move. This I wasn't looking at unprotected pieces. I wasn't looking at tactics, but I was looking at the positional aspects. So you want your pieces to move forward. You want your pieces to be active, to attack the positions in your opponent's half of the board. So again, I would think about how to move this knight, maybe to c5 or a4, or just move it forward. Maybe even e4. now that he doesn't have the knight here, maybe knight on e4 would look nice. So I will still think about it. So okay, he attacks the bishop. So I would think, can I move the bishop with a tempo? And maybe I would then play something like bishop g5, attacking his queen, and then after I attack my bishop to safety, so my bishop will no longer be attacked, for example, if he moves the queen. And then I would think about how to move this knight, but to some more active square. So either to a4, keeping in mind c5, or maybe just directly to e4. Okay, because from e4 you can also get to c5. So the lesson here is before you play a passive move, so knight to e2 is a passive move. So before you play a passive move, backward move, retreating move, think about the possibilities. Is there anything you can do to avoid doing this? And if yes, then do this. Okay, he takes the bishop, knight takes f4, knight takes f4. Okay, white pieces are still more active, and he has a nice center. He did give away this d5 square, so this is the consequence of playing e5. Whenever you play the pawn move, well, you give up a square, and this can be maybe a very nice square for the knight or even for the queen in the future, but okay. Black plays c5 here. And I think, well, again, positionally, this move doesn't make sense for black, because black is underdeveloped. So why would you want to play with the pawn here when you didn't castle and both of your bishops are undeveloped, and white is completely developed and ready to castle? So making a pawn move here doesn't do anything good. But what is another consequence? If you play c5, well, then this d5 move is, you're giving up the control of the d5 move. So here d5 square. So d5 square here is very good controlled, and now not so much. Who wants to have open position here? So the one who is better developed, who has a safer king, who has more space, he wants to have open game. So he wants to open the game. And here you can see that well, his king is in the center. He's underdeveloped, he didn't castle, and he will not be able to castle immediately. So in this position, even if your king is not safe, black didn't castle either, but you should think about how to open the position, and just go for the king. Put your heavy pieces on the d and the e file, and well, just try to activate your beautiful pieces, which are very well developed and very active. Try to activate them and attack the king, which is stuck in the center. So based on these considerations, first of all, the consequence of the move c5, and the fact that white is better developed and his king is in the center, I would just play d5 here, opening up the position for the attack. But white played the castle, which is not bad, but maybe it's a little bit too slow. You give black the chance to recuperate. So, but it's okay. So in this position, your king is unsafe, and you just want to make sure the king is safe. So okay, this is a little bit risky because your king is also in the center. So I cannot complain about this move, but I think the position asks for d5 here. Bishop e7, now he's developing the bishop, but I think he's developing the wrong bishop. So black's concern should be to develop this bishop. So either by just playing bishop to e7, or maybe even g6 and fianchetto the bishop on g7. But he should think about his king, his safety of the king, and his undeveloped king side. So I think this is the wrong move. And now d takes c5. Okay, the idea is good. I think the idea is that you want to open the position because you are better developed, and you for all the reasons I have stated. But still, I think here in this position d5 would be better, because this would immediately open the center files, and with your rook on e1, it will be a very, very strong attack. So I think d5 here would be better, but d takes c5 is okay, I think. The idea is okay, at least. Bishop takes c5. So okay. The problem, another problem I forgot to mention, another problem with d takes c5 is that you just allow him to develop the bishop. So for this reason, I wouldn't play. I would much prefer d5, because by playing d5, he will this pawn would still block his bishop. Notice that he cannot move this pawn forward simply because he will just capture the pawn. So in this position, c takes d5, d takes c5 runs into bishop takes, and then you have you just helped your opponent to develop the piece on a very active square. So this is why, in fact, I have to change my evaluation. I told that it was not the bad move, but I didn't see this bishop, so it's definitely d takes c5 was not a bad move. Bishop b5. Okay, now we are talking tactics. So you can see that at the moment when the game is opened, you have to you start to get tactical resources. So this knight is pinned, it's attacked twice, and you can see immediately that there will be some tactics here. Bishop takes f3, so he decides to take this knight and give away the bishop. I don't know why would he do this. This bishop is very strong, very nice. He has a bishop pair. He's controlling two diagonals. I don't know why would he give this up for a knight, which doesn't have many prospects here. Not some very attractive squares. This square is unavailable, this square is unavailable, so this knight is no threat, and he decides to give his best piece for this knight. Okay. Queen takes f3, and now black plays a6, and well, immediately there is a tactics, and you can pause the video if you like and try to find the winning tactics for white. So white to play and win. Okay, I hope you managed to find the solution. So the solution is just bishop takes d7, and now if he takes with the king, then well, he'll just lose the queen, and if he takes with the queen, then just this was played the game, then queen takes a8 check, and he loses the rook. And now this happened the game, and the game soon continued. So he has to block with the queen. Of course, you want to exchange because you are up in material. King takes d8, and now okay, even if you are up the material, you have to think about plan. And I think the player, the white here, did this very good. So you have to put your rooks in the play. You can see that your rooks are don't do anything here. So these are only two open files. So you want to put one rook here and one rook here. Very simple plan. So he does this. Rook fd1, king e7, rook ac1. Okay, so now he has both rooks here. Rook c8, and now you can see that this bishop is pinned. It cannot be moved. So he immediately took advantage of this tactical opportunity. So knight to d3. Now this bishop is attacked twice, defended only once. It cannot be defended twice because well, this square is taken. So he will lose either the bishop or the rook. Bishop d4, rook takes c8 now. Bishop takes e2, and the black resigned in this position. Because of course you will just take the bishop, and it will be mate in several moves. Okay, thank you very much for watching. I hope that you will find this video useful. I think, well, like Grandmaster Jesse Cry says, every game, it doesn't matter in which rating range it was played of, or if it was a very short game, miniature one, or just out of the opening, or a very long game played by grandmasters. It doesn't matter. So every chess game offers opportunities to learn about chess, to understand the game better, and like Grandmaster Cry says, in every chess game, the whole microcosmos of chess is contained in every chess game. So even if two amateurs play in the park on the bench, and you can analyze the game and get some valuable lessons. So this is what I try to do here. So I'm not I'm not a title player, so I try to analyze the games from the lower, usually lower rated players than myself, and I just try to extract from the game as much lessons as I can. And well, it helps me. I know it helps me, but I'll also hope that it will help you if you are watching this video. Thank you again for watching. If you like this video, please leave a like button, share the video, recommend the channel to your friends, subscribe to my channel, leave the comment below, and see you very soon. Cheers.